The Podcasting Dead is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Make sure to subscribe for more podcasts. And while you're at it, drop us a like. If you want to help support the channel and have access to extra content, secret contests, and more, make sure to search for us on Patreon. Patreon.com/thepodcastingdead.
All right, it's time for Walking Dead What Ifs. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. Hope everyone's had a wonderful weekend. Now it's time to ponder the what ifs of the Walking Dead universe. And a quick little plug, if you're into podcasts, be it Walking Dead, paranormal, conspiracy, just all kinds of different stuff, consider checking out our channel because we cover a wide range of things. And forgive me, I'm a little stopped up. My allergies and sinuses, which normally don't kick in until like mid-August, going into September, have decided to show up a little early this year. Oh, wow. And also, too, I keep telling myself when I cut the grass I need to wear a mask because it always makes my allergies act up. I did that yesterday, and of course I didn't wear a mask. So,
shucks.
Yep. But aside from that, I think we're ready to rock. JP, do we got some good what if scenarios over there?
Oh yeah, so many wonderful scenarios, and I'm gonna jump right in.
Scenarios.
That too, we got those too. We got a little bit of both, baby.
A scenario.
Owen Mizan says, and we've actually mentioned this. It's been a long time ago, but we have pondered it ourselves. What if The Walking Dead was on HBO instead of AMC? Would we have seen the Lori Judith and Michonne the Governor scenes play out just like in the comic?
I think they would have been a whole lot better. Going with your rhythm there. I mean, not that AMC hasn't done a good job with it, I mean, for sure, but I think HBO would have, because the comic was raw, man. The comic didn't hold anything back. And, of course, AMC, definitely, it's an adult show, but they try to keep it as PG, I guess, as an adult show can be. And, I feel like, I don't know if HBO still would have went full on. I definitely think the governor would have raped Michonne. I just don't know if we would have seen it per se. It might have been insinuated, or maybe he walks in and you know what he's about to do, and then it. But I
think they might probably would have shown us. There's an episode of The Sopranos where it's called Employee of the Month, and Dr. Melfi gets raped, and it's one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen. Movies, TV, anything.
Really?
Like you straight up see him on her. Get it in. She's crying. It's like watching a real rape.
That's like watching that movie, Last House on the Left. There was a rape scene in that. That was just brutal, man. I remember being in theater squirming. Like, it was hard to sit and watch, so I can't imagine. But I'm with you. I definitely think it would have been a lot darker. And maybe they would have. But, yeah, I think the show, imagine hour-long episodes of The Walking Dead with no commercials, because that's one of my biggest complaints on The Walking Dead is it's like, oh, we're back to The Walking Dead. Oh, man, what's Daryl going to... Oh, okay, commercial break again. So I actually think that a lot of things would improve if it were moved to HBO.
And a nice, tight 10-episode season. I think it'd be good.
I'm so fine with that, man. Like shows like Game of Thrones and Westworld and these other shows that we like, which some would argue the last season of Westworld wasn't up to par. I liked it.
No, I loved it.
But, either way, you still get these quality episodes, and shorter seasons, but I mean, the work put into them is just so good. So, yeah, I think we definitely would have had a lot darker. I mean, imagine the language. I mean, imagine when a walker's coming at you, you're going to throw the F word out at least once, right? Oh,
I know I would.
Like you go to say it, and you're like, oh, shoot, we're on AMC. Shoot, darn walkers. HBO would just straight up be like, oh, it's a walker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think HBO would be cool. I would love to see it, be able to see into a parallel universe because they did pitch it to HBO.
Yeah, I had heard they did.
Find a parallel universe where HBO actually just were like, okay,
right,
and see how it worked out.
Yeah. All right, moving on to Taylor Madden. 5 days ago, what if the survivors took over Alexandria after Deanna and the others left them? Deanna and the others let them stay. Rick at one point said to Daryl and Carol, we'll just take this place. Who out of the survivors do you think would be on board and who wouldn't? Or do you think it would change the way audience view the survivors?
One thing real quick to go back to the last point before we move forward. I'm imagining, though, we have the same cast. Through some stroke of luck, HBO
gotcha.
gets the show, but we still have Denai Guerrera and Andrew Lincoln and Norman Reedus. Because, I mean, at the same time, don't think I'm saying, because the cast is half of what makes this show so spectacular. So, this is imagining the show on HBO, but somehow, through coincidences, whatever, they cast all the same people.
Yeah, that would be beautiful.
Because I'm sure other people could play the roles, but I just can't imagine anyone being Michonne other than Denai Guerrera or anybody being Rick but Andy Lincoln. So. But who would have been on board? Glenn wouldn't have been on board.
No, he probably wouldn't have.
Glenn wasn't about that life. Maggie definitely wouldn't have been on board because Glenn wouldn't have been on board. I know Maggie could be a little bit more brutal than Glenn, but also a lot of Maggie's brutality came after losing Glenn.
Yeah.
So I don't think Maggie nor Glenn would have been on board. Carol would have been on board. Yeah. Carol was already trying to secret agent that place anyways.
Yeah, Carol, maybe Abraham if they framed it right. Because, you got to think, by the time they got to Alexandria, they were desperate. They were
battle-hardened, man. When I say battle-hardened, they have been in battles, but, you're right. They were in dire circumstances.
So, yeah, that factors in as well,
I think Sasha probably would have. Because I don't know that they would have went on a killing spree. I don't think Rick intended, let's massacre everyone and just live here. I think Rick's intention was let's take them by force. Hopefully no one gets killed, but whatever. And then we run this place. So, in that capacity, if Rick just wanted to straight up Simon the joint, I don't think hardly anybody would have been on board for that. No. But if Rick wanted to take Alexandria with the plan of, if we have to shoot someone, we will, but we're going to try to not kill anybody, but we are going to try to take it. I think a lot of them would have been on board. I don't think Glenn or Maggie would have. I feel like Sasha, Abraham, and Rosita probably would have. Now, I'm not saying there wouldn't be some reluctance, but I feel like they would have. Because Abraham pretty much, once he got over his, male rivalry with Rick, he kind of just, was down for whatever Rick had planned.
Yeah. Pretty much.
What do you think about Daryl? Do you think Daryl would have been on board with it?
I think he would have followed Rick's lead, especially with Carol on board. Yeah, I think he would have went with whatever.
If he was like, no, Rick, I don't want to do this. And Rick's like, I told you last season, you're my brother. Oh, well, if that's the case, then all right, brother.
Yeah.
I don't know why Daryl all of a sudden sounds like Boomhauer. Pocket sand.
Oh, no.
But I think that, and I feel like Carl would have been on board then. And then he had his shift, where he decided he wanted peace and all of that. But I feel like Carl would have just been like, sure, Dad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Eugene, his opinion wouldn't have mattered because even if he was against it, he wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah, Father Gabriel definitely would have tried to stop it.
Yeah, you're right. Good point. We forgot about Father G. He definitely would have been, because he already tried to betray. He would have probably been the Benedict Arnold to be like, they're gonna betray you. God told me in a dream.
Yeah.
And also, I sleep in a room over from Rick, and I heard him talking about it. Now, I will say I do think they could have taken it over.
Oh, easily.
I don't think it would have been... I really feel like they could have done it without anyone getting killed because that group was so... you might have had Spencer's dumbass or his brother might have... or Nicholas might have tried to stop it, maybe. But, that would have been it. Deanna wouldn't have given any resistance. Reggie was about as harmless as a newborn puppy.
Yeah.
And Pete's drunk ass might have walked out there and tried to do something, but he'd have been quick to put down. I don't see anybody really in Alexandria that would have put Aaron. Now, let's not forget Aaron. It's so funny because I don't even think of Aaron as part of the Alexandria group.
I know.
Because I'm so used to him being part of the Rick's group now, once they kind of came together. But now Aaron might have put up a resistance. But I don't think it would have necessarily been a violent one. I think Aaron would have tried to have been the voice of reason.
Right. He wasn't as hard of a man at that point.
No, he's become quite a grizzly badass now. But at that point, Aaron might have tried to be the peace talker. But I really think they could have taken it by force, but without hurting anyone, honestly. Or without killing anyone, I should say. I'm sure they probably punched somebody. Shut up, Nicholas.
But that's a good one, Taylor. That would have been interesting to see play out.
Now, going a little bit further, though, before we leave that question, what do you think that would have meant for Rick and the group? Like, what do you think that would have meant? Do you think that would have set Rick's group on a path to be more Negan-like? Because they straight up took a place by force. They now basically are. That's a whole nother world from Rick's group. Herschel's farm. It was all his farm. His rules were guests here, and Rick's always been very diplomatic in that way. But he's straight up saying, no, we're taking this over.
I definitely don't think he would have had the support he perhaps needed. When he had to rally everyone against Negan, they would have just been like, "Well, hey, probably won't have it much worse under him than we do under you, you jerk."
I was gonna say they probably would just see Rick as another Negan.
Yeah. So
I do think Rick would have softened up, though. I think when Rick first got there, you got to remember how long they'd been on the road,
right.
The things they'd been through. They, have had battles with people and been, almost cannibalized. So they had been through some ish. I feel like if Rick would have taken it over, though, it wouldn't have been Negan-ish. I feel like they would have been under Rick's rule, but at the same time, I don't see Rick becoming Negan. I feel like after some time off the road, Rick would have softened up to a point, and like Deanna could have had a say-so in things. I just feel like it'd be like, here's the deal. We're taking it over for now, and then, it might have lightened up later. But yeah, great question, man. I love thought experiments like that.
Oh, yeah, and we got a lot of them from Jonas Bilili, longtime listener, great friend. He's a great
He's
friend.
A great friend of the podcast.
Yeah, great friend.
Hey, Fran.
But, got some good ones lined up for us. Jonas Bilili says, what if Daryl was handcuffed to the roof instead of Merle? Merle's back at the camp and finds out Officer Friendly left his brother for dead. Would Daryl cut off his hand? Would he have ended up with the governor? So many possibilities.
I got both my hands, y'all. Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like Daryl probably would cut off his hand. I don't know if he would have that early on, but I don't know. It's a tough question because Daryl was definitely a douche in the beginning, but he wasn't quite. I don't know if he would have put himself in the same situation that Merle did.
Yeah, that's hard to imagine. I keep thinking about it. As much as we all love T-Dog, that was kind of a dick thing to just drop the key and leave Merle. Could you do that? Could you just leave somebody handcuffed to a roof for dead?
If I were T-Dog, absolutely.
You could.
You got to think of what he just went through. This guy clearly hates him just because of the color of his skin. This guy would assume just because he's black, just to kill him, then deal with him. So you already know you're dealing with someone who doesn't have your back. He's a scumbag. He's not going to help you in a dire situation. And two, you got to remember that it was an accident. T-Dog, basically the walkers were coming, but this dude just beat the shit out of you and put a gun to your face. You put a gun to my face, I could leave you handcuffed up there.
I don't think I could do that to another person, man.
If I were in T-Dog's situation, I would have done what T-Dog did. Now, again, you got to remember, though, it wasn't a cruelty thing. It wasn't a, ha-ha, you stupid bitch, I'm going to leave you up here handcuffed and let the walkers get at you. Rick handcuffed him, and then T-Dog tried to get to him to give him the key, and he accidentally dropped it. But it was either, what do I do, stay there and try to saw off the handcuffs and we both die? And at least T-Dog had the decency to lock up the door before he left.
Yeah.
That was one thing, and that's another thing, though. T-Dog told them about it and was perfectly okay with going back to try and save him. So, it's not like T-Dog did this heartlessly. T-Dog had been attacked by this man, beat up by this man, threatened death upon him by this man, and he tried to save him. He couldn't. He left, but he knew he was in the wrong for leaving him on the roof, so he chained it up, trying to do something right, then was willing to go back and risk his life to save him. I think I could have done. I don't know if I would have been as nice as T-Dog. I might have been like, the hell with him, man. There's a saw up there. You can figure it out.
Yeah, that's a rough way to go, though. Just dehydrating on a roof like that. I would have at least been like, look, man, we'll be right back. I promise. Just so don't go sawing your hand off.
So you would have done what T-Dog did. You would just given the
at the very minimum,
right? Like, hey, look, we'll be back. I promise. Just chill out. Yeah. I wonder, did he try, and forgive me for not remembering it. I have went back through and rewatched the show recently, but it's just when you've got that many seasons, little things get lost. Did he attempt to saw the handcuffs at all? What do you think? It just like he knew the walker? Because the walkers were at the door, but I know they showed them kind of trying to squeeze their heads through, but
Yeah,
they couldn't get through the door. So I wonder if he just was, I guess I'm guessing he just panicked and didn't think about the handcuffs and just went for his hand. But I feel like he could have sawed enough at those handcuffs, or if nothing else, like the piece of threaded, because I used to put on those C-clamps with the threaded rod, which is what was, they're on there tight, but you could, with a saw, you could definitely cut through that threaded rod, no problem.
Oh man, I don't know. Ugh.
If only I could have popped in there to be like, wait, Merle, wait. Just, you see the threaded rod with the C-clamp on it that you're handcuffed to? Just saw that threaded rod, man. I've sawed plenty of it in my life with a handsaw and with automatic. You could do it, I promise.
Oh, jeez.
But anyways,
that would have.
But no, Daryl, because we got a little off there. Daryl, I feel like earlier seasons Daryl definitely could have ended up with the governor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was only spending time around good-hearted people like Rick and Glenn that brought Daryl around, that's what kind of got him, because he basically was just kind of a douche himself. So, it's like being around, like being a product of the environment, I guess. Daryl having time away from his brother, who was kind of his main bad influence, and being around good people is what changed Daryl. So, yeah, if Daryl were handcuffed to the roof, I do think he would have sawed his hand off. I don't know if he'd have done it as quickly as Merle, which then again, I don't know. Daryl seems to be a bit more intelligent than Merle in that department. Maybe Daryl would have actually, you know what? No, back it up. I think Daryl wouldn't have had to have sawed his hand off, because I think Daryl would have sawed through the rebar.
Yeah.
And then it leads to the question of how much influence would the governor have had on him, because the main loyalty that Merle had to the governor was the fact that the governor found him half dead and saved him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why his loyalty was so big. So, you could have this whole butterfly effect where Daryl gets himself out of the handcuffs, and even if he does meet up with the saviors, he don't owe him shit. But he might would follow him. He was impressionable.
Yeah, I think in those early days, man, if not.
Did I say saviors? I hope I didn't. Governor.
I think you did, yeah.
Governor people.
Yeah, I think he could have easily ended up as a savior or as one of the governor's cronies.
I could have definitely seen Daryl becoming a savior, without a doubt. Daryl just Daryl would have fit that perfectly, man. Because it is crazy how different season 1 Daryl, even parts of season 2 Daryl, and modern Daryl are. They're so different,
That's true.
But I definitely could have seen him ending up with the governor. I just don't know if he would have been that blindly loyal to him, just because, I feel like if he would have found Glenn in them, I don't know that he would have put them through what Merle did.
Right.
But anyways.
Yeah, interesting possibilities there.
Very much so.
Another one from Jonas. Okay, so Alpha had been found out at the fair. Since the fair was at the kingdom, what would Ezekiel do to her? And he says, not talking about the Barn of Pleasures. So.
Oh, Alpha, thank you for joining us. No, the Barn of Pleasures is purely a consensual place, though. So if Alpha were taken prisoner, she would only, be involved in the Barn of Pleasures if she consented. So,
That's true.
He would have definitely been like, sorry, friends, our bald-headed Alpha is off the table. She's not feeling it today. Instead, we're just going to execute her.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I think he would have definitely taken her prisoner, but I think he would have waited. Well, all right, let me back it up here. Who all was at the fair? Who all? Michonne was at the fair, right?
I believe so.
And then what was the problem? Oh, yeah, I feel like he would have definitely taken her prisoner. I don't know if he would have just straight up killed her, but
Yeah, I think he would have held her and waited for everybody to rally around and figure out what they're going to do.
And then they would have had a trial.
Probably.
I wonder. I don't know. I feel like that's basically the gist of it. I feel like if that would have happened, then they would have had I don't know if they would have necessarily executed her, but I definitely think they would have probably have made the mistake of, I don't know. I don't know. You want to think if they're smart, they wouldn't let her go because, hell, you just caught her infiltrating your HQ, man. You can't let her go. If you do, then, she could probably easily get back in. She's seen the inside of where you live now. She knows how you operate. Mm-hmm. It's just not a safe bet having, she was in there abducting people too, like a freaking alien.
Yeah.
So I would imagine she would have found her way back to Alexandria and been put in a jail cell.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so as well.
Which Negan would have been in there too. Hot dog! Got me a roommate.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Could you imagine if Negan and Alpha met in those circumstances versus Carol letting Negan out and giving him a mission, more or less? I wonder how Negan... could we have even actually had a real-life Alpha Negan team-up? Like a genuine one, not one with Negan having ulterior motives. If that's how they met, they put them both in the cell.
Yeah, that's possible. That would have been an interesting conversation.
I would have loved to have seen, what are you in for? Well, I wear the masks of dead people, and I infiltrated the fair because I wanted to decapitate a lot of their people. And I thought I was nuts.
Yeah.
I only bashed in 2 of their brains. But yeah, no, I think she would have ended up in the jail cell or definitely detained, and I don't know if they would have executed her. But then, of course, holding her would have brought on a war.
Yeah,
it could have led to Beta just straight up pushing the red button and leading that just enormous amount of walkers on to where they were, and it could have led to everyone's death. Who knows? Maybe they would have negotiated and let her out, which again wouldn't have been a good idea because. Unless you're just going to secretly abandon the kingdom after that, Yeah. But no, I feel like Ezekiel would have definitely been like, hear ye, we have a traitor in our ranks.
Oh, no.
Bring forth the handcuffs. Not those, Jerry. They're a little dirty. Bring me some fresh handcuffs that have not been in the bond.
No. But yeah, that's a good one, Jonas, and he's keeping them coming, brother. Are you ready?
Just when you say, I know what you mean, but when you say that, it just sounds dirty.
Well, I hope you're ready, because what if Morgan had never found Alexandria / Daryl and Aaron? Where in the world would he be? What would he be doing? Come on, it's like finding a needle at the bottom of a lake. I would have chilled at the Great Smoky Mountains and made a camp there. That's a good idea.
He'd be going around trying to find people. Morgan, I don't know, man. He's a badass, but I feel like, are we assuming he was still on the hunt? Is that kind of the way we're going at it? Like he was still trailing Rick and them, but he never actually found them? Is that kind of what we're going at? Or are we just saying like he just decided not to even go on that quest? Because that's 2 totally different scenarios.
Yeah, I think it's basically he just lost the trail and basically just had to abandon all hope of that.
And then I don't know, because he got to Texas after dealing with everything that he dealt with. From the all-out war. I don't know, man. Part of me, even though he hasn't, part of me wants to say that Morgan's attitude at the time that he found Rick and them would have probably gotten him killed, I feel like. If he, I don't know. I feel like if he was on the trail of Rick and the group, he would have definitely ended up probably running into the Saviors.
It's a good chance.
If he's in that area looking for them. And not to mention Aaron and Daryl might be dead.
Yeah.
If Morgan didn't come in and start stabbing all those zombies with his blunt stick somehow. Because that's how that works. But I feel like Daryl and Aaron probably would have been gone. They might have made it out. Tyrese made it through a thick herd of walkers like that at one point, where it looked dire. But overall, I genuinely like to think that they probably would not have. They would have went down fighting for sure, but they would have definitely gotten bit or something. But and then I feel like he would have ran into the Saviors. Now, I don't know how Negan would handle Morgan. Now, I know how some of Negan's cronies would, but let's imagine the man himself, Negan, meets Morgan. I don't really feel like he would just kill Morgan. Negan wasn't in the business of just meeting someone and, I feel like with a group of people, they meet a group of people and kill one of their people to show how serious they are. But, if he kills Morgan, how is he showing him here's how serious I am?
Right.
Well, damn, I think I convinced him. But I don't know. Do you think he would have just kind of let Morgan be? Or do you think he would have basically forced Morgan to do the same thing everyone else has been doing?
I think Morgan would have ended up down on the factory floor with all the, the lesser people. And he probably would have staged some kind of peaceful uprising where they go on strike, all this stuff.
It is. Yeah, because that works with the Saviors. It's like, we're not going to kill people. Negan, we're tired of this. But he's killing people. We don't kill people.
Yeah.
No, I feel like if that would be the case, then Morgan would have snapped at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if they would have put him on the floor like that, and Morgan would have seen all the cruelty going on. Yeah. I feel like he would have saw red again and just snapped. And
that's another possibility.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's so interesting. Like, what would have become of Morgan? Would he eventually have made his way, down to the west, like to Texas and all of that, or? I don't know. I honestly kind of wish he wouldn't have found them so that he wouldn't have been through all-out war and wouldn't have made his way to to Texas, because it's not. Yeah. He's a great character, a wonderful actor, just not interesting on Fear the Walking Dead.
And nobody is at this point.
I'm telling you, the payoff for Morgan's character should have been he found the perfect balance of peace when it's available, but don't mind killing. Because it just kind of went back to that whole all life, what is it? All life is precious.
Yeah.
And, we've just had some terrible villains.
Yes, we have.
From the Pilgrim people to the crazy lady. I've poisoned all your water that I knew you would. I don't know.
Yeah, that seal's broke. Don't drink it. That's a good rule of thumb.
Especially in the apocalypse. I don't know how long that water's been setting.
Yeah.
At least filter it. If the seal's broken.
So stupid.
But that's an interesting question, Jonas. So many different ways that could go. If he lost the trail, he could have ran into the saviors. I definitely don't think Morgan would have became a savior. Maybe he would have been the one to speak to Negan's heart. Maybe Morgan's approach would have spoke to Negan, and Negan would have, been greeting Rick with flowers versus a baseball bat.
Maybe so.
Welcome to my network, you sorry sack surgeon.
Lord. But yeah, that's another good one, Jonas. Morgan's adventures maybe would have led him who knows where. Maybe he would have went to the ocean side and just been like living the life of Big Mac Daddy, Who's to say?
That could be true, absolutely. Just be chilling on the I love the beach, Rick, and I love women, and this place has both of them. Also, all lives are precious, so, nobody really mess with us. This is kind of the best thing I got going right now. I don't have to kill people. It's a lot of fine honeys walking around, and I'm on the beach.
Yep. I think that would have been the best thing for him. But anyway, Jonas.
All booty's precious.
You damn right about that. All right, now here's an interesting one. What if the Season 3 Fear cast battled Season 3 Walking Dead cast?
Ooh.
Who'd come out on top? Paint us a story where the ranch and the prison go head-to-head.
Ooh.
How would the beef start and end? Wow.
Wow, that is a good... you got Troy on that crew, too.
You got Troy? Yep.
His brother. He had his brother. That guy, yeah, he had a brother. Oh, my gosh, man. That's a... Well, number one, they've got a lot of ground to cover to somehow cross paths.
Yeah, that would, I don't know logistically how that would happen. That'd definitely be a mass migration.
If we're talking like first half of Season 3, man, we know that Rick and the group weren't really good at security around the prison. All it took was a little Kevin Hart knockoff to, just dismantle everything.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Just left the deer carcass and, just very, which granted, to his credit, he did have knowledge of the layout of the prison, which, to an extent. He spent most of the apocalypse up to that point trapped in a room with, 3 other dudes. Yeah. But I imagine at some point during his tenure as a prisoner, he'd gotten familiar with the place. But we know their security wasn't that great. I don't know, man. Part of me feels like the Fear crew would have had a pretty good shot.
Yeah, they were more ruthless. I feel like Nick and Troy would have just done like a whisper kind of thing and just got a huge herd together and just crashed through the gates of the prison.
While tripping?
While tripping, yeah, that's the most important part.
I don't know. Like, all right, so he wants us to paint him a story. Well, let's just imagine that in Texas, in, where they were, because they kind of were all over the place there for a while, but down there it got too hot and dry, which when they got to Georgia, they definitely wouldn't have been relieved too much, because where it might lack the heat, the humidity makes up for it.
Yeah.
Because God knows, man, here we are in Virginia, it's been ridiculous, man. It was like I was at a birthday party Saturday outside, and I think it was like 106 degrees. You add that with some humidity, and it's just... But, let me ask you, before I go painting a picture. What do you want to imagine? The Walking Dead crew makes their way to them, or the Fear crew makes their way to Georgia?
Well, you know what? I think maybe it would make the most sense. The governor has decimated the prison,
Okay.
and instead of heading north towards D.C., they end up heading west just because why not?
All right, so we're going to assume then maybe the governor's first assault, which killed Axel, is where he just, instead of just trying to, wave his wiener around, he actually just went ahead and destroyed the prison.
Yes.
Because then after that, it would have been season 4 before he actually landed his or the season 3 finale to season 4 when he would have decimated it. So then you wouldn't have had the season 3 crew. So yeah, we'll say the governor just wipes it out. Man, I'm gonna go. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Fear. I mean, Fear. They especially with Troy, they had the ruthlessness they needed. Whereas, the Walking Dead crew, I don't know, but they would be battle hardened they would be road worn. You'd almost have like an Alexandria thing, like we were talking about, all over again.
Yeah. I'll give it to Fear the Walking Dead though. Their morality is a lot shadier.
Well, and two, in the scenario that I think it really just depends on the home field advantage too, though.
That has a lot to do with it too.
I feel like if you're talking the Walking Dead crew makes their way, there's always a chance that they could build their crew bigger, but the odds are they're going to lose people on the road. The group's going to get smaller. Meanwhile, the Fear crew is still at that ranch doing their thing. Still got most of their people, and then Rick's group comes after however long of being on the road, probably lost a few people, and shows up. And maybe they try to take the ranch because at this point, why not? They've been on the road for so long. They're almost at that season 5 mentality of just like, to hell with it. We're going to take this place. And then I feel like the Fear crew would have just taken them out. But now if the Fear crew made their way to the prison, it might be a different story.
I just think with Victor Strand's cunning, you got Daniel's strategic value.
Now, when did Daniel, refresh my memory, and forgive me, diehard fans, because it's just been a while since I've watched season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead, one of the best seasons of The Walking Dead, anything of any of the shows, but it's been a while. At what point, Daniel disappeared, in season 2, right? Was he back in the picture? He wasn't back in the picture until the end of season 3, right?
He was there when they found the dam.
I know that. And so I guess technically we could count him as part of the season 3 Fear the Walking Dead crew because he was there in season 3.
He was there.
If you got Daniel in the group, I just don't know that really much of anyone other than maybe Rick could have handled Daniel. Daniel's just a badass killer.
He's a mastermind.
And then Troy is just psychotic, man. I just really hate that Troy left the way he did because that was such an interesting
Just
character.
gets smacked with a wrench and
just
falls.
Bam! And boom.
That's it for Troy.
Come on now. Madison, she's a fierce warrior, but head to head with Rick, I don't know that she could have. Rick just had that secret beast all along. All it took was a few events for Rick to go Super Saiyan on everyone, and I feel like all the experiences between Georgia and there would have definitely brought that out of him. So, but yeah, I feel like either way around, man, I feel like the Fear crew would take it.
Yeah, I'll give this one to them. I will. But that's a good one, and we're getting ready to get thrown into the fray. So I hope you're ready. All right, you ready?
As ready as I think I can be. Yes.
So what if Beta sends his horde to come kill both of you, referring to you and I? Which characters, dead or alive, are on your own individual teams? Pick up to 5. Plot twist: you have to choose a character that is going to get the group in some major trouble. Mine would consist of Michonne, Rick, Negan, Morgan, and Sam, little boy from Alexandria. Wow, Sam. Jesus.
He's the sacrifice.
Yeah, I guess.
I imagine the reason he wants Sam is because when the walkers all show up, you just throw Sam outside. He's, Mom!
Yeah.
And buy yourself some time. Oh, man, that's a good question. That's tough. Let me run back through it there. That was really specific.
Yeah.
5 people.
5 people to go against
I'm going to get
Beta
a pen, man, because I wouldn't be able to remember who I've said. All right. Definitely Rick.
Okay, you're going with Rick.
Definitely Michonne.
Definitely Michonne.
I like the Negan aspect because Negan has proven himself to be just good in every aspect. He can throw down. He can. I'm gonna throw Daryl in because Daryl is a zombie slaying and people slaying beast.
He's a great tracker too.
Yes, he is. Let's see here. I don't know. I got my first three. Who's your first three going to be?
Victor Strand is on there.
You should just to keep you calm while everything.
Right.
JP, yes, I like the way your head feels when I run my hands over it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Strand. So while you're trying to strategize, Strand is there to comfort you.
Exactly. So Victor Strand is there. Rosie.
Can we go Fear Crew, though? Or is he
I'm
saying
going
just
there. There was no. He didn't say we couldn't.
because if it's Fear, then I would definitely be throwing Daniel on my team. But go ahead.
But no, I'm going with Victor Strand. I'm going with Rosita because she's a thought. I'm going with Ezekiel because another just great.
Why do I
great
feel like
voice.
your crew is gonna be decimated?
It's not though.
I mean,
It's not.
they go down sexually satisfied, but nonetheless,
No, dude. You got it all mixed up, dog. You got it all mixed up. I got to have a wild card, somebody that could be a fly in the ointment, so to speak. I'll go with Merle. Merle is fantastic. I don't know how well he would work with, because so far I've got nothing but, people of color. I've got two black gentlemen and Rosita.
So you're saying
Hispanic
you need a white racist to
woman.
even
White
things out?
supremacist, yeah, just to throw a little chili in the pot. And
Well, that definitely would throw a wrench in things, I mean, Merle
certainly
could be
would.
the one to, to mess everyone up, obviously, with his racism. So
what do you mean I can't use the N word? I'm an American, damn it.
God, with Rosita, I imagine he'd make another taco. Because remember, he called, was it Morales? He called the taco bender or something. I believe it's the first time I've ever heard that term.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. Golly, Merle, such a lovable bigot, kind of like Archie Bunker. Oh man, I closed out the video. How would I do that? But anyway, and my last, but not least. Ooh, the last one's always the toughest, isn't it?
You got one more. You've done good. I got three so far. You've got. I figured you would say Jess. Just.
I was thinking about Jess. I don't think I won't thinking about her. Do not think I was not thinking about her. We need a wise old man on the crew, kind of like a Gandalf. So I think that would leave
Herschel.
I'm thinking of Herschel.
He'd be hobbling behind you after you've been sexually satisfied by everyone else. That Merle fella's got to go. That could be where your problem arises. Herschel's like, now listen to me, JP. This Merle fella's got to go.
Yeah, so we'll go with him.
You going with Herschel?
Why not?
All right, so you got Strand, Rosita, Ezekiel, Merle, and Herschel. All right, I've added a new name to my crew.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Jesus.
Okay.
I mean, because I'm sticking Walking Dead, though.
You're staying with The Walking Dead.
God, I don't know, though. Abraham would be great in a battle, though. I mean, you got to think, both Jesus and Abraham were badass combatants and would be super useful, and the only reason they died is because, number one, Jesus could have been anybody. Nobody knew what the Whisperers were. Like, I don't think any of them, if they were in Jesus' position, wouldn't have died, as a matter of fact.
Right.
If Daryl were the one out there after Aaron went to help the others and was walking back, I believe his guard would have probably been down a little bit. Just, it's another walker. And then Abraham only died because he was outnumbered and basically forced to be executed. I mean, Abraham was a freaking beast. I don't know. You know what? That's tough, man. Let's do this. I'm taking this question very seriously. Instead, let me write a quick list, and I'm going to do elimination. You are a bit more decisive in that than I am. I'm a little bit more of a tactician. It takes me a minute to sit down and strategize.
All right.
Rick Michonne, Daryl, Jesus, Abraham. I'd say Tyrese because he can be a beast, but the question is, would he be a beast?
Yeah, you need a powerhouse.
Well, Abraham would fill that role, I think.
You
But
need like a juggernaut.
But Tyrese would be one I'd pick if I could get angry Tyrese. But actually, you know what? Bam, Tyrese is going to be the one to throw a wrench in my plan because Tyrese just don't really have it in him to kill. I feel like he'd be useful in the battle, but I don't know that he would have what it. I feel like his hesitation or Morgan could be a crutch too.
Yeah.
Battle fighters though: Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Jesus, Abraham. Sasha was a hell of a fighter.
Yeah, she was.
Sasha would have been good to have on your side. She was good with a rifle for sure. And she was willing to sacrifice herself to save everyone, so she's definitely got the heart for it. Who else? I'm going to have to pick 4 of these and someone. So let me see. Who are my monkey wrench people? So far as my battle, I got Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Jesus, Abraham, Sasha. Can I get Crazy Morgan? Because Crazy Morgan would definitely be.
You can pluck them from anywhere in the timeline.
Let me see who else. Not really Glenn, as much as I hate to say that, because now, I hope that we're not having to use just. Damn, now I feel bad. I mean, he said Rick, didn't he? Didn't he say Rick Michonne? I mean, he named people who are off the show now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they can be dead. They can be anything.
Let's see. Rosita would definitely be good to have on your side. She can throw down. I mean, would Carol really be good in a straight up? I don't know, though. She held her own with those 2 guys, the guns and all of that.
Yeah. She's good with a rifle. And she's a great archer.
Yeah. All right, so I think I've got my main battle people. I've got Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Jesus, Abraham, Sasha, Morgan, and Rosita. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone along the way. I'm just going back through. I would definitely say Merle would be the one to throw the wrench in, but you've got him, so I'm gonna try and keep it a little bit different. Let's see. I mean, the governor. If the governor were on your side, perhaps. I mean, we didn't think about our boy Shane.
I thought about him, but then I decided to leave him where he is.
And plus, yeah.
Because he's too territorial when it comes to lovers.
And that's what your whole team is basically lovers for yourself.
No.
So Shane could be take Merle out and switch him with Shane, and that'd be perfect. That would be your whole monkey wrench, is that you can't even fight alongside him because you're so jealous that he's going to try and take one of your people for himself. Can
you just imagine King Ezekiel's dreads just waving in the air as he bounces up and down, and it'd be a fierce crew.
Bounces up and down riding a horse, correct?
Well, of course.
Onward to battle. And you just imagine Shane pulling a Eugene, just creeping up, peeping from behind a hay bale. Strand and Ezekiel are mine. I loved them first.
No.
They kept me alive. I'm trying to think, man, of people gone that would be good. I think I've got some of our strongest fighters. I didn't put Aaron. Aaron's gotten pretty good. Yeah. I mean, he deserves to at least be in the running.
Consideration.
Yeah. Man, oh man. So just read that thing again.
Okay.
Make sure we got this right.
All right. So Beta sends his horde to come kill both of us. Which characters, they can be dead or alive, are on your own individual team? Pick 5, and you have to choose a character that's going to get the group in some major trouble.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I think I've got our best fighters so far. There's probably some big, glaring, obvious one I'm forgetting here. But I mean, correct me if you can think of anybody else for the fighters. You've got Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Jesus, Abraham, Sasha, Morgan, Rosita, and Aaron.
Yeah, I just.
Is there anybody else I need to throw in there that I'm forgetting about?
I can't think of anyone. I'd like to see Victor Strand with a shaved head. I think that might be a really good look.
Would you rub his head while playing with Ezekiel's dreads?
Yeah.
In the meantime, Merle is fussing at you for being a race traitor. Go on, Merle, with your racist ass. I love who I love. I don't know. I mean, I think I've got all. I mean, can you think of any fighters that I'm omitting before I go forward?
I don't think so.
All right. So I got to pick 5 from this group. Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Jesus, Abraham, Sasha, Morgan, Rosita, and all right, number 1, Rick and Michonne are definite. Got to have Rick and Michonne. Okay. So I got to pick me. Oh, I didn't Negan, because I'm trying not to put villains, because technically Shane would have counted as a villain there towards the end. Negan was a villain. Now he's a good guy, so I think we can count him. Definitely gonna keep Rick and Michonne. Now I got to pick 2 more. Now, of these people, who do I think would be the best fighter? Best fighters. I mean, I feel like you got to pick Daryl, right? I mean, Daryl's like the last man standing always. So I'm gonna go with Daryl, Rick Michonne and Daryl. I'm gonna pick Morgan.
Okay.
But Morgan at the point that he was in All Out War where he would kill people.
Okay.
But he wasn't crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got that in-between Morgan, the one that's not seeing red nonstop, but also the one that is one of my favorite moments from Morgan, too, might I say. It's the most subtle, blink and you'll miss it moment. One of my favorite moments from Morgan in the show ever, for whatever reason, was when they get surrounded by the Saviors. Uh-huh. And you think it's over. You know, this is the finale of season 8. And if you pay attention, Morgan's got his stick, and he just takes his stick and he stabs it in the ground and pulls his rifle around. It's so badass. Like, just the look on Lenny James's face when he did that was perfect. I mean, granted, they were all about to die and didn't have a chance in hell, but damn it, he's ready to go down shooting. All right. So right now, it looks like my crew, the good people, would be Rick, Michonne, Daryl, and Morgan. Man, I hate to leave Jesus and Abraham, though. Abraham's a trained soldier, though.
Yeah. He knows about munitions.
Yeah. Oh man, that is a tough one. And who am I gonna have to throw the monkey wrench? So sadly, I'm leaving Rosita, Aaron, Negan, Jesus. I don't know, man. Abraham and Morgan are kind of my two, and Sasha. I'm leaving her out, so they're kind of my interchangeables. I'm gonna stay with Morgan. I don't know. I'm just gonna stay with Morgan. Because I'm gonna stay with Morgan. I don't know though. I feel bad leaving Jesus out because in the comic, Jesus was kind of involved with Beta to the end there, so it kind of and Aaron. But so I'm on Rick Michonne, Daryl, and Morgan. God, Morgan and Abraham. Morgan, the three I'm having the most trouble with is Morgan, Abraham, and Jesus. Those are kind of the three that really are my top. So really, I could have just assumed had Jesus or Abraham or Morgan.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stick with Morgan. I just feel like a well-balanced Morgan is a killing machine that could be very useful. And the one to throw the monkey wrench, I love how he used Sam, because Sam would definitely be the one to F it up for everybody. And you put Merle was the one to throw.
Merle is mine, and then I have my other extreme fighters. I just like, I'm mentally picturing like Ezekiel sitting on his throne chair, and Victor Strand is giving him advice as he paints his toenails.
You know, Ezekiel, this JP fellow who recruited us, I'm starting to think he doesn't have our best interests at heart. He spends more time on himself than he does us, if you know what I'm saying. By the way, pink is so your color.
Yeah. And he's like got that thing that scrapes the dead skin off your heel and everything.
We are in the apocalypse, Strand. Forgive all the dead skin cells. It's been a while since I've had a pedicure.
Yeah. Gosh, that's the Walking Dead I want to live in.
This Merle guy is a racist piece of shit. I mean, we're totally going to kill him, right? Love is always the way first, patience, Strand. We take him to the barn, see where his true intentions lie.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you're the leader, Ezekiel. By the way, again, I just can't stress how good pink looks on these feet. Yeah. And then, let's see who else is on you. Rosita's just sitting in the back like, oh, my God. Then Merle walks in. What the Sam hell's going on in here?
I want another pedicure.
Poor Herschel's like, I just believe people just love who they love. Yeah. Oh, man. All right, so my crutch in this, not crutch, I guess it would be more the fracture in your ankle, and the reason why you need a crutch would be, gosh, I mean, he said Sam. That's one of the biggest F-ups in the entire show that I can think of. I mean, Reggie, he sucked.
I don't even remember him.
You know what? I know who my crutch is going to be. Who would mess it up for everyone? Old Nicholas. Let's bring him back. Oh, I mean, if I got to pick someone who's going to mess it up for everybody else, it's going to be Nicholas.
He was a jackass.
Yes, he was. So, my team, Rick, Michonne, Daryl, and Morgan, and Nicholas. Well, I don't know. Should I pick someone who's a better fighter that at least would take out a few before they messed everything up? You got Merle, man. You got the best one. I mean, he would definitely be taking people out left and right before he did something stupid and probably bigoted that messed the whole group up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate Nicholas. I take Nicholas off, man. I didn't mean to spend so much time on this, but F you, Nicholas. Gosh, man.
It's tough.
They got to pick that one that's going to mess it up for everyone. You know what? Let's, one person. You know what? I'm going to put Tyrese. Because for several reasons.
Okay.
He's a beast. He could take out lots of walkers.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I genuinely like Tyrese. And three, the reason why he would probably mess things up is I just don't think he'd be okay with killing people.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to throw Tyrese in there. Like his story progression in this is that he, takes out a ton of walkers and all of that, but his hesitation to just straight up kill people and seeing how brutal it's getting, especially being a lot of Whisperer fighting is hand-to-hand combat, like having to get up close and personal. I just don't know that Tyrese would do it, and his hesitation might lead to problems for the group.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So boom. Plus, I would like to see Tyrese again.
Yeah.
So there you go. Was there anything we left out?
No.
Hopefully, was that still Jonas's question?
Yes.
Hopefully you enjoy that, Jonas. As you do see, we put a lot of time into your questions.
We do. Jonas, we've done 5 from Jonas. He's got like 3 more, but to break it up a little bit, I'm going to move on to Claire A.
Okay, Claire.
And if we have time, because Jonas has got like 3 more deep ones. If it's not running too long, we'll jump back in. If not, Jonas, we can always bring him back on the next one. But let's
by the way, can I say I have loved your questions, Jonas.
Yeah,
These are the kind of what ifs that make this podcast so fun.
I know, we could almost do a whole podcast just with Jonas.
Walking Dead what ifs.
Yeah.
Jonas edition.
Because he's really diving deep.
Yeah, thanks for those, man. They really help us help with our content.
But speaking of more good what ifs, Claire A, longtime listener, great mega fan. She has got some really good ones too, man. A couple good ones from Claire. What if, now get this, Rick and Lori and Madison and Travis were switched? Do you think Daryl could be as attached to Madison as he is to Rick? Do you think Madison could have ensured Carl's survival?
That is a good one.
And do you think Shane would have boned Madison?
Well, that would have been the difference, man. Shane would have... No. Well, would Shane have been... So in this scenario, Madison was in the coma?
No, the way I'm thinking is...
I was going to say, because would that have meant that Shane was banging Travis while Madison was in the coma? And then he comes back and he's like, I'm very conflicted because... Before the apocalypse, I was attracted to women. After the apocalypse, I just took what I can get. Now your wife's back, and she might take you from me, and I still want to bang you. But at the same time, I kind of want to bang her, too. You might have just had this trifecta of love happening in the woods.
Yeah, that might have actually worked well.
The kids would have been like, I heard walkers moaning in the woods. Where's Shane? Where's Travis? Where's Madison? Where's Dale?
Oh, no.
Of course, Dale's not involved. He's just, watching from behind a stump, making that Dale face.
Yeah, just shaking his head. For Shane.
Everything going on in the world, and all these kids are worried about is banging. Not that I wouldn't be if mine didn't still work, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know. So paint me the scenario real quick. I mean, what does this entail? Is Madison in the coma? Is Travis in the coma?
No.
Is it sexist to say that Travis would be in the coma just to assume that the male would be the main focal point? I mean, how do we do this?
Yeah, I mean, I figured, Travis would wake up just like Rick did, go in search of his family, find Madison. She's smashing it with Shane because they're both alphas, so I feel like, that she'd definitely get off more with
See, in my head,
Shane.
man, it's Madison that wakes up because Rick is the focal point, and Madison was way more the focal point than Travis.
Yeah.
I feel. I mean, I know they kind of shared. I mean, I keep in mind it's been a while. I mean, that's Fear of the Walking Dead season 1 and 2 were tough for me. I mean, I struggled to get through them. But I do know that we did spend a lot of time with Travis and his son's descent.
First season,
Which didn't it kill that son in like a car wreck or something? Wasn't that like one of the stupidest deaths?
Yeah, I think it was because he decides to leave the group and like before they even get very far away, they wreck the truck or something.
Yeah, it was really stupid. But
his son was
But I'm imagining, so you're imagining Travis wakes up in the hospital, whereas I'm imagining Madison wakes up in the hospital, and I don't think Shane would be banging Travis. He didn't really strike me as a type that was attractive. I mean, it'd be interesting because that's just it's such a hard scenario to paint because were Shane and Madison maybe partners beforehand? You still could have conflict though. Maybe she was secretly having an affair with her partner Shane because in this scenario, I guess Madison's a cop. And then, she comes along and there's her husband, but then there's also the guy she's been having an affair with. And I don't know. But no, I don't think Madison – I don't know, though. Madison might have been able to keep Carl alive longer because Madison – Rick loved Carl, and Carl was the reason for Rick's – but I just don't see Madison leaving Carl as much as right. Rick did. I feel like Madison was more present with where her kids were when she could be. Yeah,
more of a mama bird.
Whereas, she might have thought about, do I really want to leave my kids to go do this? And been more hesitant to go out on certain things that Rick just, selflessly threw himself into. So maybe Madison would have been able to keep Carl alive a little longer. And God, imagine Rick and Lori. Were we switching Rick and Lori and Madison and Travis, right?
Yeah, so like Rick and Lori there in California,
I feel like Rick would, as soon as the shit would have hit Rick and Lori, Rick would have been like, Lori, this shit's boring. I can't help but think if we were somewhere else right now, this whole apocalypse would be a lot more entertaining. Anyways, what's that guy's name? Strand. I don't trust him.
But we're going to get on his boat anyway.
But he does know which colors match me the best. Lori, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of attracted to Strand. Yeah. It's something about that voice. Are you guys ready, Rick? Yes, Strand.
There's no denying that.
God, but Rick and Daniel together would have been a hell of a team.
Yeah.
I like Daniel. I'm not attracted to him in kind of the same way I am Lori or Strand, but he's a good killer. This fella, Nick, he's somebody I would have arrested back in the day, dealt with plenty of heroin addicts like him. I ain't got no use for him. God, but I mean, you got to think, though, if you moved, that's such a loaded question because if you switch the two couples, then their children have to go with them.
That's true.
I mean, I don't think Rick and Lori would have birthed, I'm a cop with a son who's got a heroin addiction.
Oh, no.
I'm so conflicted.
It is California, a lot of stuff floating around. Maybe Carl, at like 8 years old, would have been a junkie.
Oh, man. And then, oh, man, yeah, that's a good question. I definitely feel like Madison would have made children more the priority. Yeah. I mean, I know that Rick's whole mission was to build a world for Carl, but at the same time, he also left Carl exposed and alone a lot, whereas Madison, I just don't know, would have been. I feel like either way, Travis would have died. He was kind of like Tyrese. He just wasn't built for that world.
No.
Even though he had it in him, though, when he beat that boy to death, my God, he was a beast. Yeah, Travis could have been a good character. I like the actor that portrayed him. I just feel like they killed him off. I think he wanted off the show, but I feel like they initially had intentions for him to become more Rick-like as well.
I think so.
Good question,
yeah,
Claire.
That's a wing dinger. And
I got to go, Laura. Me and Strand are going to go to some barn. Oh, you're going to love the barn. Sorry, Lori, you can't come on account that everyone hates you.
Yeah, she ain't got no ass at all.
I mean, that's not why. It's mostly...
That's why I don't, anyway. Yeah. Claire A. goes on with another what if. What if we could see a spin-off episode or two of any specific character's life either being introduced into the apocalypse before meeting the main group or in the farther future? Who would you want to see?
So, I mean, in this scenario, are we saying that dead characters are dead, basically living characters? Would you like to see their future?
Or if you want to see like an origin episode of like Tyrese or Merle or Herschel, like you could go both
I believe
ways.
Merle and Daryl would be the origin story. I want to know what they did beforehand. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see.
Okay.
That would be that either I'll tell you. I would love to see origin for all of them. To see, we kind of got it for Rick in a way because we saw him in this cop, but it would either be Michonne or the Daryl Merle.
Well, you got to pick one origin story you would want to see, any character, no holds barred, and you get one future spinoff where you see whatever happens to any character you want, like 10 years after the show ends.
All right, man, that's tough because I really want to see Michonne because they really haven't in the show went into what her background was as far as in the comic. She was a lawyer, and I don't really know if they've. I mean, because we knew that Andrea in the show was a civil rights attorney.
Yeah.
But
while you think about that, I'll just go ahead and tell you mine.
Victor Strand.
I want to see the high school years of Victor Strand, and then I want to see Victor Strand like as an older, refined gentleman, just
sipping a nice cocktail,
sipping some cognac,
rubbing your head. Yeah. I imagine you put yourself into every one of these stories.
right.
He's rubbing your head, and he's just. Oh, so then there was the time with this group of people that I met. The lady named Madison.
Yeah, like basically he's taken the he's in the Oval Office and
he's taking the White House.
He's
just completely
taking the White
over.
House, and he's just the Mac Daddy of Mac. But anyway, that's mine. And but no, like I said, who do you want to see an origin for and a far flung future for?
And then there was the time where I cut up a bunch of walkers with a plane propeller.
Yeah, you did do that.
It was a really stupid episode, but. Have you cut up a bunch of walkers with a plane propeller? I don't think you have, JP. Now come here.
Oh, yes.
That's tough, man. I'm gonna go with Daryl and Merle, mainly because we don't know anything about Daryl's. I mean, that's kind of been hinted to in the show. Like, what did you do before the apocalypse? And even though Michonne, it hasn't been outright. We saw a glimpse of her life pre-apocalypse, even though it was like a dream or whatnot, and it was kind of it evolved. It spiraled into like disturbing. You know what I'm talking about? When she was in her kitchen and she's cutting up stuff and everything's normal. So I mean, to me, that kind of gives us a little bit of insight into what her life was like before the apocalypse. Looks like they weren't doing too bad financially. Had a nice house. It seemed to be, so we get a little bit of a hint, whereas we've got nothing with Daryl and Merle, only we just know that their dad was an abusive piece of shit. So I'm going to go with Daryl and Merle.
Nice.
Well, you could pick the most boring option, be Dale. Just him and his wife riding around in an RV.
Dude. Yeah, to hell with Dale.
Did you take your pills?
But that's
Don't give me that face, Dale.
This constipated owl look. God,
constipated owl. That is the best description of Dale face I've ever heard.
Yeah. Just disgusting.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah, that's
constipated owl, man. I love that so much.
I stole that line from The Sopranos.
I love it.
As I do most stuff. But that's good stuff, Claire.
Really good stuff. Love it.
Keep it coming. We're going to have to wrap up with Corey Andros, I think. He is laying down some heavy fire, man.
Laying it down.
Corey is like, he can just create a whole universe in his mind. So... All right, Alexandria, the Walking Dead fanfic alternate universe challenge accepted. He's going to take a little time to put some thought into it. Definitely got some ideas, but for now, and he's got a 4 solid what if. So let's get into it. What if Lizzie never was killed by Carol? She was able to keep her psychotic behavior on the down low and continued on with the group. How do you think she would have developed? Would her fate remain the same?
She would have became like a Troy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she definitely would have kept killing people. I mean, somebody would have had to put her down eventually.
Could have been interesting because you could have had her secretly killing people, turning them into walkers, basically, because she thought it just meant now they could live forever. But
I think the only person who really could have been a good leader figure for her would have been Alpha. If she had
really thought you were going to say Victor Strand. I was going to say, is your answer to everything Victor Strand?
I mean, I definitely think he probably could have chilled her out some.
Listen, girl, you're freaking everyone the hell out. Stop that shit.
Yeah.
Strand out. No, you're right, though, man. I could definitely down the road see her becoming a whisperer. Like, that is honestly the best answer to that question. Like, down the road, Lizzie... Like, I could see Lizzie staying amongst the group, occasionally killing someone, just being a crazy self, but suppressing the psychoticness. But I could see her totally ditching the group to go be with Alpha because...
Yeah.
If anything, she could have grown up to be Alpha in a way, I mean, her mindset was very similar to Alpha's, just like they're not dead, they're different, but they still have feelings and we love them and yada, yada, yada. And I mean, It wasn't quite that animated for Alpha, but at the end of the day, I mean, she definitely considered, walkers to be part of like their extended family, and we know Beta did. So I think Lizzie would have ended up a Whisperer one way or another if she'd have survived that long.
Oh gosh, that was some gas coming up. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Forgive me.
It's okay.
Here's another good one from Corey. What if the governor never existed? How would that affect the group in the prison and the inmates? Would they have been at the prison much longer?
Without a doubt. Oh, yeah. I imagine, gosh, if the governor's group wouldn't... I mean, it was the predicament they had him in. Let's just assume that the governor never existed. Nobody got captured, yada, yada, yada. Everything was hunky-dory. I'm not saying there wouldn't have been other groups, but if other groups didn't have... I mean, like, the reason why, they had the advantage they did was because they had two of their people.
Yes.
I mean, because the dumbest thing that Rick and that group ever did to date, in my opinion, is when they scared the governor away.
Right.
That was the stupidest shit. You had them all trapped in the catacombs. You could have just stepped around the corner with like two M4s and just mowed that whole crew down. I mean, you had ample opportunity to just wipe them off the face of the earth and be done with them. And I'm sure someone will be like, "Oh, they weren't as savage." Now, screw that. You know this dude's a psycho. He just came into your home. Like, they should have taken him out. To me, there's no rhyme or reason or logic to why they decided to scare them away. And then you know this guy's attacked you several times. You've had people on the inside. You know what a psycho he is. Did you really think you were going to scare him enough to... And maybe the thought was, well, no, they were going to scare the people enough to the governor. Whatever, man. The governor was going to come back, and you knew he was. So, I mean, they should have just killed him then.
Yeah.
But if the governor never existed... I feel like, granted, they had enough time to fortify and get kind of like season 4 prison occupation, where they actually had it on lockdown, had security, had gardens. I feel like they could have lasted the rest of the series there. Because Negan and company would have never rolled it. And they were constantly adding to their crew.
Yeah, they were.
The virus kind of wiped out a few of them, but I mean, they were finding people and bringing them back, so the group would have only gotten larger over time. And Negan probably wasn't going much past like Norfolk or Alexandria, Virginia and stuff. So I doubt he'd have made his way all the way down to Georgia. Granted, taking away just a ridiculously big and powerful group coming through, it was really one or the other. They would have probably just lived out their days in the prison, or a big group would have came and destroyed it.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to lie, man. That was the first time The Walking Dead really let me down hard, was that stupid
Season 3 finale.
Yeah,
oh, my God. I'll never forget. Yeah, I agree. I'll never forget like being someone that read the comic and knew how brutal that final battle was at the prison. Like, I really went into season 3's finale like with dread. Like, oh God, Like, the baby's probably gonna die. We're gonna lose a lot. Herschel's probably gonna die. We're gonna lose a lot. This is gonna be, and then that's what we got.
Yeah, and I'm sure they were in the writers' room. The AMC execs were just like, people are really digging this storyline. Let's just stretch it out for another season. Have them just shoot at their feet and scare them off like a bunch of chickens.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
I agree. Like that was one of the first big letdowns. Because I just remember, man, like my mom asking me, because my mom likes spoilers and stuff, and she's like, "Who dies in the comics at this?" And I was like, well, I think that I had a feeling Glenn was going to die for whatever reason, but I was like, man, Herschel's probably going to die. Beth might die, taking kind of the place of his son. You remember how his son died in the comics, during the prison battle. So I was like, Beth might take his place, and Beth, Herschel. I don't know why. I just had this feeling Glenn might go. Yeah. Who was? I had a whole bunch of people, man. I thought Tyrese was going to end up getting decapitated. Like the governor was going to. I don't know, man. I just had this whole thing, and then it was like Morgan orchestrated that attack.
Yeah.
All life is precious, Rick. Even though you got them dead to rights, and you can probably just eliminate this problem and save a lot of lives, just scare them.
Yeah. Oh, stupid. Corey with another one, taking us back to the prison. What if they did stay at the prison for a long stretch? What if the Claimers showed up? How would Rick and company have greeted them?
Wipe them out.
Would the Claimers try to take the prison? And what if, just adding on to that, what if Merle had met the Claimers?
Now that throws a monkey wrench in it, but other than that, man, I just imagine the. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm a dumbass. I'm thinking the scavengers, not the claimers. My bad. Like from Fear the Walking Dead,
or like the pedophiles.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Were they pedophiles? Yeah, they were. They were the ones that were going to rape Carl.
Yeah.
I was thinking the scavengers from Fear the Walking Dead, and I was going to say, dude, they would show up outside the prison and be like, "We're just going to stay here till you die." Rick would be like. Right. We're good. Daryl, you mind going and killing them real quick? Because they kind of just, I don't know what they're doing. The claimers, I still feel like would have gotten eradicated. Now, Merle being with them would have thrown a wrench in the plan, for sure, because Daryl would have been like, wait, that's my brother. And if we're imagining still a governor-less world. Yeah. Then that actually, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because Merle wouldn't have ended up with the Saviors. He probably would have survived on not the Saviors, would have ended up with the Woodbury. So Merle would have been on his own for a while, surviving. The Claimers would have been right up his alley.
Yeah.
Maybe, I like to think minus the boy raping. Yeah, I like to think Merle wouldn't have been into that. But it makes perfect sense. That would have actually been a cool story arc to have the Claimers show up, and of course, with the group outnumbers them. They've been here for a while. They got security, but the problem is Merle's with them, so they can't really just straight up wipe them out because Daryl's like, "That's my brother."
That's right.
But I feel like eventually, same thing would have happened. Merle would have switched sides for his brother at some point. That would have been cool though to start a story arc where it's Merle versus Daryl, where Merle is basically just like, "Look, these people did me dirty, and if you're sitting here backing them up, then you're just as bad as they are."
That's right.
Brother versus brother.
Brother.
That's my brother. Don't kill him.
But that's some cool stuff, Corey. Always some cool stuff. And he wraps it up saying, thanks, Bromios. Thank you, Brosen.
Thank you, man.
And he's going to get to work on his alternate universe stuff.
Cannot wait.
And we will stay tuned, Corey. We went pretty long this morning. I took some screenshots. There's some other kind of long ones. So I don't know.
I was gonna say, is Jonas Billy got like one more little one you could throw in there, and then we can wrap it up with that.
I wouldn't say it's a little one, but
so it's one more to sign off. We hadn't went this long on a podcast in a while.
Yeah. So like I said, I took screenshots. We can either do a part 2 or tack them on to next week's. Here's one. Prestige Beast says, what if Abraham was alive in the Whisper arc right now in season 10?
The world would be a much better place.
Yeah, there'd be a lot more funny puns, and I think we'd all be.
I imagine like there would have been some like acne jokes just because of the face mask, skin. Like ah, damn, sweetie, I'm gonna get you some some Clearasil.
Yeah.
No, Abraham, man, there's not a situation that the group has been in since Abraham left that I don't think would have been made better with Abraham. Abraham would have made every situation better. He was a soldier, a damn good one. He was a big personality. I really think, much like the comic, I feel like Abraham should have stuck around a little bit longer, because in the comic they killed him off very which I know the show wasn't unceremoniously, but the comic was just very like, hey, here's Abraham. There he's go. A long-time character gone. Yeah. But, even Robert Kirkman said he probably should have left Abraham in it a little bit longer than he did. I feel like there's not a single situation they've been in that wouldn't have been made better by Abraham's presence.
Agreed.
I'm telling you, man, aside from seeing a John Hamm Negan, one of the most, things I would love to see in an alternate universe is one where we got Abraham to stay alive throughout the Saviors, the all-out war. I would have loved to have seen him and Simon going back and forth, Negan and Abraham going back and forth.
That would have been beautiful.
But Abraham would be the muscle, man. I believe the Whisperers would be losing a lot more people if Abraham were still alive, man. He's a big dude. He's a strong guy. Abraham really, in retrospect, while he was on the show, I loved him, but it was one of those you don't really know what you got till it's gone.
Right.
After losing him and looking back on him, I think he was one of my absolute favorite characters. I loved Abraham.
He was great.
Michael Cutlitz did a wonderful job bringing him to life. And, I don't know if I really imagined him quite the way he was in the show when I read the comic. But with that said, I loved Show Abraham.
Yeah,
man.
Me too.
I would have loved to have seen him and Strand met one day. I don't think that they would have had the outcome that you would like, but I would have loved the conversation. Hi there, Red.
That conversation might have led to something.
I like your red hair. It's very red. You know what color would go with that? Let me paint those toenails of yours red.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me? Man, you ain't touching my feet. But yeah, I think that Abraham would be just a straight up asset in anything, just like Jesus. I feel like Jesus would have been. Jesus is another one in the show. I mean, Abraham's death at least had a lot of emotional impact and some ramifications. Whereas Jesus, I just feel like I know the actor wanted to leave the show because they had underutilized his character, which they did, but. Yeah, Abraham just was a great right hand for Rick. I know that they basically gave that role to Daryl more or less, but I mean he could have had two right hands. When I dance, I have two right feet.
Sure.
So I would have loved to have seen that. But yeah, great questions. I love that we had some really deep, thought-provoking Walking Dead conversation today. It was I love it, man. This is the kind of stuff that just makes me love what we do.
Absolutely.
If you want more podcasts, don't forget you can check out our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You get 8 extra podcasts, per month.
We're not playing around.
These go everywhere and we do hit on the Barn of Pleasure some in the Patreon. It's a little bit raunchier too because we don't try to hold back in terms of language and content on Patreon. But so check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead, or just go to Patreon and search for The Podcasting Dead. You'll find us. And like I said, for as little as $1 a month, I mean, of course, $5 is cool, and $10 is really cool, and $20 is like, whoa. But even as low as $1, you can get yourself extra podcasts where we talk about everything from life to The Walking Dead to the mysteries of the universe.
Yep. It's a good time.
Speaking of which, we'll see the patrons on the Patreon tomorrow. We'll see the rest of the general population on Wednesday, for Weird Wednesday, where we're going to talk about... hey, damn it. Stardust Ranch. I always want to say like Firefly for some reason. Stardust Ranch. It's like Skinwalker Ranch.
I was going to say Firefly Ranch. That's like from Devil's Rejects or something, ain't it?
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see you soon. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're The Podcasting Dead.